In a small village just 31 miles south of the Arctic Circle, a group of teenage Inuit girls must fight off an alien invasion. I watch Slashback, and this is Slasher Sports Cinema.
They say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding?
I'm my number one fan.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
God, it knows I'm here.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
You're listening to the Slasher Sports Show with Billy Graves.
Thank you very much for joining me on Slasher Sports Cinema. I'm your host, Billy Graves, and first and foremost, I want to ask you to like, subscribe, comment. I love hearing from you guys. The feedback is sometimes overwhelming in that I want to argue with your opinions sometimes. You'll tell me that a movie wasn't so good, and I've got to explain to you why it was. Because if it wasn't, I wouldn't have talked about it. It's not true. Sometimes I like to tear into one, but not often. If I'm suggesting a film, it's usually because it was really good. Not often am I going to tell you to go watch a bad movie, although there are some. I just talked about one. I believe it was Beware Children at Play. I always get them mixed up. I want to say Danger Children at Play, but it was Beware Children at Play. I do the same thing with that film as I do with The Cult and The Cure. I always get the names mixed up. Anyway, we're here to talk about a film, like I just said, with some indigenous representation that we don't really get a lot in horror. And when we do, it's one of those weird spiritual things because, I don't know, for whatever reason, the filmmakers always want this stoic soothsayer of an indigenous man to predict the future. But no, this one, it's called Slashback. It has your everyday teenagers. And I want to say it's Stranger Things meets The Thing, but it doesn't rip off either film. Now, I filmed this one on Shudder. It was released back in June of 2022, but it was recently added to Shudder. And that's the first place I go. Shudder's where I get my first dip into movie reviews. And if I don't find anything specifically there, I'll branch off into Hulu, maybe Netflix, maybe Tubi. I like Tubi a lot. But this film was directed by Nyla Inukshuk. And let me go ahead and tell you, this podcast episode is going to be full of probable mispronunciations. And that is solely on me. It's very important to me that I get names correct. And if Nyla, if I am saying the last name incorrectly, do what you will. I apologize in advance. But Nyla Inukshuk directed this one. She's known for some short films. Stories from Our Land 1 and 2. Breaths, Future History. It's a 3-part documentary. I don't want to call it a docu-series. It's not necessarily a series, but a mini-series. We'll call it a documentary mini-series. It tells a lot of stories from, I don't know if it's the Inuit community, but definitely indigenous stories that need to be told. And she also does a lot of big work in virtual reality. That's something I need to get more into because it's not really a medium that it really occurs to me that would, have a lot of content. But this film was co-written by Nyla and Ryan Cavan. You might know Ryan Cavan from The Bumblebee Man, Judgment of an Incensed Prince, The Secret of Goat. Some good stuff there. Good writing, first of all. I mean, he's a very solid screenwriter. It stars some young. It's got a very young cast. Okay, Tatiana Shirley. This is Tatiana's first official acting credit, to my knowledge, or at least IMDb says so. She's the leader of this gang. Okay, she is the Finn Wolfhard, if I may, of this group. And her co-star Nala Joss Ellsworth, also her first credit or her first acting role. I feel like the talent pool within the Inuit community is probably not very deep. There are only 150,000 Inuit in the world. I don't know how many are in Canada, but how many could have possibly gone into acting, right? And these ladies maybe not have gone into acting if not for the situation presenting itself. I think they've done a great job here, but they did have some seasoned actors to help anchor down the film, get everybody through it seamlessly, some good experience, and who better to work with than Christian Brune and Sean Benson too. I mean, these guys are two seasoned actors, tons of TV for Sean. I believe Christian may have been in Orphan Black, which is a favorite of mine. He's done a lot of TV. But Nala Joss Ellsworth is the co-star here, and she's got the hilarious line. I'm going to misquote it, but she tells the boy, maybe they'll get tired of country food and want a bite of your bald little weenie. Who wrote that line? Was that you, Cavan? Or was that you, Nyla? Oh, no. Because it's freaking hilarious. It is hilarious. But, despite their ages and inexperience in acting, the cast really does benefit from a well-told story. Very well-told story. And you get the perspective of the Inuit people in this, I don't want to call it a harbor town, but a seaside town. Lots of fishermen, a little bit of poverty in this town. I don't want to call it poverty because it's not fair to say that. You have, some of the girls or especially Nala's character is very happy in Pang. Pang is the town where they live. But the others, they're not so happy. That's probably, partially due to teenage anxiety or, wanting for more. But this is very much a friendship movie. Friendship among women, young women, little girls. And they're doing their thing. They're getting by as best they can. That Tatiana's character isn't happy with the way life is. She's kind of ashamed of her father, who's a fisherman. She kind of wants to get out of his, out from under his thumb, I guess. But let's jump to the cold open. Actually, no, let me back up real quick. The score for this film, I really like the score for this film because you've got the opening. The opening, you're going to see or you're going to hear the traditional throat singing. I don't know what that's called, but it's pretty much indicative of, I don't want to say the Inuits, but definitely the northern indigenous people, or at least that's, in my experience where I've heard that from. This film is steeped in Inuit tradition without shoving it down your throat as a social commentary. However, the commentary is there. Okay, so look a little deeper when you watch this film. None of this should be taken at face value. but it can be taken at face value, if you know what I mean. And I hope you do. Well, let's jump to that cold open. Okay, we've got a man who's attacked in the snow by a creature who's hiding in the snow. He's kind of pulled toward the ground before squashing his grape. That's where I get the shades of the thing, because it's a creature, not really something you can identify. Okay, and there's a little bit of shape shifting or form taking, maybe inhabiting the bodies of some animals. Gruesome at times. But when we meet the main characters here in the Inuit community, all with different experiences, like they're normal teens, because when we meet Nala's character, she's basically swindling a little girl out of $15 with a promise of being able to use her cell phone when she tops up the credit on it. And she promises, hey, you can use it sometimes when I'm near you and I'm on a break. Typical stuff. But then they're not so typical, because every one of these girls seems to be a marksman with a rifle. And actually, it's not every one of them. It's Nala's character and Tatiana's character. Both crack shot with a rifle. And that just kind of speaks to life in Pang. And that is not every teenager where I am. And I am in Nashville, Tennessee. There are some teenagers who will absolutely, shoot the lights out, no problem. But, it's not typical. But this film, it does paint a picture of what life is for the typical Inuit teen, and it's worth paying attention to. But, just like in the cold open, it seems like the creatures are affecting the animals, these foreign creatures, the antagonists, if you will. They're affecting the animals on the mainland, okay, polar bears, deer, etc. And Uki, who is played by Nala, she's on it before anyone. But no one really believes what she's saying. Why? Because it's already a bullshit story. There was already a bullshit story. She's telling tales of, traditional Inuit tales, tales not unlike the ones that maybe our parents or grandparents would have told us when we don't need to go into a specific room in the house or don't need to wander too far away. Maybe there's some innocent man in town who is said to steal up little kids if they get too close to his house, when really it's just too far from your own house. Kind of gives bad reputations that way. But yeah, you've got these creatures just affecting everyone, and nobody believes Uki. For that reason, she likes to tell those tales. She believes them, but she likes to tell them. But, the big problem becomes bigger when this alien creature, what seems to be a parasite of some sort, it migrates hosts and goes from polar bear and deer to local humans. And what makes it worse is we already aren't too fond of these local humans, because one of the local humans whose body this parasite inhabits is a local policeman who's kind of picking on the kids, one for not wearing a helmet, but you could tell he was there to just start trouble and be a bully. So you don't like him already. And it's not uncommon for folks maybe living on a reservation to have outside police come on to the reservation, pushing their weight around, knowing they have no jurisdiction. You've seen it. I've seen it. My experience only. Don't hold Slasher Sports responsible for being a cop hater or anything like that. But, in a Night of the Living Dead type situation, Maika, who's played by Tatiana, Uki, played by Nala, and their friends and younger siblings, they kind of fortify in a freight container. And then they got to start planning on survival, right? They're calling for help. They're not getting help. The help that does come, well, it gets taken care of too. You know, earlier in the film, you got a good cop, bad cop situation. Well, bad cop is the one who gets it, while good cop comes to help and then ultimately gets it. Not cool. But this story does run through Maika and Uki. They carry the story. However, the entire cast is strong for being inexperienced. Now, if you come into this film expecting The Godfather, you're going to be obviously taken aback, because the inexperience in acting does show. However, it is light years above what it could be. This is a perfect first project for a lot of these young ladies, and I think we're going to see more of them. I hope we see more of them. They all have faces of being stars, okay? And they're fun. They're funny, especially Nala. I really like Nala's, her lines are really funny in this film. But again, watch this one on Shudder. Have a good time with it. Come back, comment on this video. I want to know what you think about it. I was really happy with it. Solid 7 of a film out of 10. I don't know if that's fair. I mean, we're talking about budget. We're talking about experience. Sometimes you make a film to highlight stars. Sometimes you highlight stars and you can tell your story too. Sometimes a film is just made to tell a story, and I think that's what Slashback was made to do, and it did it well, and I had fun following along. So again, find this one on Shudder. You know, more important than, you know, Meryl Streep level acting or Michael Bay level explosions or M. Night Shyamalan suspense is not only the character representation of the Inuit people and the indigenous people in general, but also the vocabulary, the behaviors, you know, the way of life. Even a simpleton like myself can appreciate that. Now, I'm no wokester. I'm not virtue signaling. I want to see horror from points of view of different people and communities. And Naila Inuksuk, I thank you very much for presenting that in a pure form. Your cast was fun. Your cast didn't take it too seriously. You got a group of badass little chicks there in your film. Great cast, great crew. Had a lot of fun with it. So, please like, comment, subscribe to this podcast and or channel, and help take Slasher Sports Cinema to the top of the charts. I want to keep cranking out episodes with what you might enjoy seeing. Until next time, may you drink the blood of your enemies from the skulls of their children.
But you can't shoot that can.
I could.
Easy. Let me shoot then.
I'm the F.
What is it?
Bear.
Told you, I'm a good shot.
This place is like a ghost town.
Pang? What other crap hole are you living in? I think Pang is awesome.
What's up? What's that?
TNT. He's only TNT because he's the bomb. What is it?
They came here to hunt us. But what they don't know is that we're the best hunters there is. Let's go hunting.
I liked him first. He was talking to me. Fine. Can we go back to hunting a blood-sucking alien?